was hiding behind a water recycling unit when he heard her voice. "Has anyone seen? I need the translation files from yesterday." His heart stopped. He pressed his back harder against the cold metal pipes and held his breath. The recycling unit made a soft humming sound that he hoped would cover any noise he made. "I think he went to the lower deck," someone answered. "Something about checking the cargo manifests." "Again, he has been checking cargo manifests every day this week." Closed his eyes and felt shame burn in his chest. She was right. He had used that excuse 4 times already. He was running out of places to hide on a space station that was only 3 kilometers wide. The footsteps moved away and finally let out his breath. He waited another full minute before he stepped out from behind the recycling unit. A maintenance worker stared at him with confusion. "Don't ask," said quietly, and walked away as fast as he could. This had been his life for the past 3 weeks. Hiding, running, making excuses, all because he was too afraid to face one person. Her name was, and she was the most beautiful being had ever seen. She was half human and half. Her mother was queen of the empire, one of the most powerful rulers in the known galaxy. Her father had been a human diplomat who died 10 years ago in a shuttle accident, had inherited her mother's feline features. She had soft fur that covered her arms and the sides of her face. Her ears were pointed and could move in different directions when she was curious or angry. Her eyes were large and golden, with vertical pupils that widened when she was happy. And her tail, tried not to think about her tail. It was long and covered in silver fur, and it moved in ways that made his brain stop working. Worked as a cultural advisor on Harmony Station. The station was a neutral place where different species came to talk and make agreements. Worked as a translator. His job was to help people understand each other when their languages were too different for the automatic translation systems. They had worked together for 2 years. At first had been professional. He had kept his feelings hidden and did his job well. But somewhere along the way he had made a terrible mistake. He had fallen in love with her. It happened slowly. It started with small things. The way she laughed at his bad jokes. The way she brought him coffee when he worked late. The way she remembered his birthday when no one else did. The way she tilted her head when she was thinking and her ears would flatten slightly against her hair. For a long time had kept his feelings secret. He knew it was hopeless. She was a princess. Her mother ruled over 50 star systems, was just a translator from a small town on Earth. He had grown up poor. His parents had worked in a factory. He had gotten his job on the station through a scholarship program for humans who showed skill in languages. There was no universe where someone would want someone like him. But 3 weeks ago, something had changed. They had been working late on a difficult negotiation. 2 species had been arguing about mining rights, and the talks had gone on for 14 hours. When it was finally over and had been the last ones left in the conference room, they were both tired, had stretched her arms above her head and her tail had curled in a lazy circle. "I could not have done this without you," she had said. "You are the best partner I have ever had." And stupid tired had almost said it. The words had risen in his throat like a wave. He had opened his mouth and he had almost told her everything. That he loved the way she smelled like spring flowers. That he dreamed about her every night. That he wanted to spend the rest of his life making her smile. But at the last moment, he had seen her looking at him with those golden eyes, and his courage had died. He had made some excuse about being tired and had run away. He had been running ever since. Made it back to his small room without seeing anyone else. He locked the door and sat down on his bed. His room was tiny. It had a bed, a desk, a small bathroom, and nothing else. The walls were gray metal. The only decoration was a small plant that had given him for his birthday last year. He looked at the plant and felt sick. "What is wrong with me?" he asked the empty room. He knew the answer. He was a coward. He was afraid of rejection. He was afraid that if he told how he felt, she would laugh at him. Or worse, She would be kind about it. She would tell him gently that she did not feel the same way, and then things would be awkward between them forever. So instead of facing that possibility, he had chosen to avoid her completely. He told himself it was the smart choice. If he stayed away from her, his feelings would eventually go away. He could go back to being professional. Things could return to normal. But deep down, he knew he was lying to himself. His feelings were not going away. They were getting stronger every day, and his avoidance was not solving anything. It was just making him miserable and probably confusing. His tablet made a sound, looked at it and felt his blood turn cold. There was a message waiting for him. It was marked with a royal seal, the seal of the Empire. His hands shook as he picked up the tablet. He read the message 3 times to make sure he understood it correctly. Translator, your presence is requested at the private cabin of Her Majesty Queen of the Empire. You will arrive at hour 17. This is not a request. Dropped the tablet on his bed and stood up. His legs felt weak. His heart was beating so fast he could hear it in his ears. Queen wanted to see him. His mother, the ruler of 50 star systems, the woman who could order his death with a single word. Why? His mind raced through the possibilities, and none of them were good. Had told her mother about him. Had the queen somehow learned about his feelings for the princess? Was this a warning to stay away, or was it something worse? He had heard stories about they were a proud species. They valued honor and loyalty above everything else. Among their people, to pursue someone above your station was considered a grave insult. Some lords had executed servants for daring to look at their daughters the wrong way. Sat back down because his legs would not hold him anymore. He was going to die. The thought was strangely clear in his mind. Queen was going to kill him for having feelings for her daughter. It made perfect sense. He was a nobody. He had dared to love a princess. In the eyes of culture, that was probably a crime punishable by death. For a moment, considered running. He could get on a shuttle and leave the station. He could go somewhere far away where they could not find him. He could start a new life under a new name. But even as he thought it, he knew he would not do it. Running from a summons was an even bigger crime than whatever he had already done. If he ran, they would hunt him. They would find him. And then his death would be slow and painful instead of quick. No, he had to face this. Looked at the clock on his wall. He had 6 hours before he needed to be at the Queen's cabin. 6 hours to prepare himself for whatever was coming. He stood up and walked to his small mirror. He looked at his reflection. He saw a young man with tired eyes and messy black hair. He saw someone ordinary, someone unremarkable, someone who had made the mistake of falling in love with a star. You are an idiot, he told his reflection. You knew this would end badly. You knew she was out of your reach, and you fell for her anyway. His reflection did not answer. It just stared back at him with sad eyes. Turned away from the mirror and started to get ready. If he was going to die today, he would at least die clean and properly dressed. The next 6 hours passed both too slowly and too quickly. Showered. He put on his best clothes. He tried to eat something, but his stomach refused to accept food. He tried to read, but the words made no sense. He tried to sleep, but every time he closed his eyes, he saw golden cat eyes staring at him with disappointment. Finally, the time came. Walked through the station toward the royal section. His footsteps echoed in the empty hallways. Most people avoided this part of the station. The guards who stood at every corner were enough to scare away anyone who did not have business here. The guards watched as he passed. Their eyes were cold and their hands rested on their weapons, kept his head down and kept walking. He reached the door to the Queen's private cabin. 2 guards stood on either side. They were bigger than the others. Their armor was decorated with gold patterns that marked them as the Queen's personal protectors. Translator, one of them said, "You are expected." The door opened. Took a deep breath. He thought about. He thought about her smile and her laugh and the way her tail curled when she was happy. He thought about all the moments they had shared and all the moments they would never have. Then he stepped through the door, ready to face whatever waited for him on the other side. The cabin was larger than he expected. It was decorated in the style, with soft fabrics and warm colors. There were plants everywhere, filling the air with a sweet smell. The lighting was dim and golden, making everything look soft and dreamlike. In the center of the room, sitting on a chair that looked almost like a throne, was Queen. She was beautiful, even more beautiful than her daughter. Her fur was pure white and her eyes were the same gold as. She wore a simple dress, but she carried herself like someone who owned the universe, which supposed she almost did. Translator, the Queen said. Her voice was soft but powerful. It filled the room without effort. Come closer. Walked forward on legs that felt like they were made of water. He stopped a few meters from the Queen and bowed as low as he could. Your Majesty, he said. His voice came out as barely a whisper. The Queen studied him for a long moment. Her tail moved slowly behind her, like a snake waiting to strike. Her eyes seemed to look right through him, seeing every secret he had ever kept. You may rise, she finally said. Straightened, but he kept his eyes down. He could not make himself look at her face. Do you know why I called you here? The Queen asked. No, Your Majesty, lied. The Queen made a sound that might have been a laugh or might have been a growl. Could not tell which. I think you do, she said, but we will get to that soon enough. First, I have a question for you, human. Waited. His heart was beating so hard he was sure she could hear it. Why, the Queen said slowly, have you been avoiding my daughter? His blood turned to ice. This was it. This was the moment he would die. He opened his mouth to answer, but no words came out. The Queen leaned forward in her chair. Her golden eyes were fixed on him like a predator watching its prey. I am waiting, she said, and knew that whatever he said next would decide whether he lived or died. Stood frozen before the Queen. Her question hung in the air like a blade ready to fall. His mind was racing, searching for words that would not get him killed. Your Majesty, he began, his voice shaking. I have not been avoiding her. I have just been very busy with work. The Queen's eyes narrowed. Her tail stopped moving. That was not a good sign. Do not lie to me, human, she said. Her voice was still soft, but there was steel underneath it. I have ruled over 50 star systems for 300 years. I know when someone is lying, and you are lying very badly. Felt his knees go weak. 300 years. He sometimes forgot how long they lived. Queen looked like she was in her 40s, but she had been alive since before humans had electricity. I am sorry, Your Majesty said. You are right. I have been avoiding Princess. Why? The question was simple. The answer was not. Thought about lying again. He could make up some excuse about a misunderstanding or a personal problem. But the Queen had already caught him in one lie. He did not think she would forgive another. So he told the truth. Because I am in love with her, he said. The words came out in a rush like water breaking through a dam. And I know I should not be. I know she is a princess and I am nobody. I know it is wrong and foolish and probably illegal in your culture. So I have been staying away from her, hoping my feelings would go away. I thought it was the only right thing to do. The room was silent after he finished speaking, kept his eyes on the floor. He was sure that at any moment the Queen would call her guards and have him dragged away to his death. But the silence stretched on, and then Queen did something did not expect. She laughed. It was a real laugh, full and warm. It filled the cabin and bounced off the walls. Looked up in surprise and saw the Queen leaning back in her chair, her hand over her mouth as she tried to control herself. Oh my, she said when she could speak again. Humans truly are the strangest creatures in the galaxy. Did not know what to say. He had expected anger. He had expected threats. He had not expected laughter. Your Majesty, he asked carefully. The queen waved her hand at a chair near him. "Sit down, young human. You look like you are about to fall over." Sat, his legs were grateful. Queen studied him again, but this time her eyes were softer, almost kind. Her tail had started moving again in slow, relaxed waves. "Let me tell you something about she said. "In our culture, love is not something to be ashamed of. It is the most sacred thing in our lives. We do not choose who we love. The heart chooses for us and we follow where it leads." Listened, confused. This was not what he had expected to hear. "Among my people," the queen continued, "when someone falls in love, it is not a small thing. It is forever. We do not have your human concept of dating many people and then choosing one. For us, there is only one. When it gives their heart to someone, it is done. There is no taking it back." I did not know that, Sid." "Of course you did not. Humans never bother to learn about other cultures." The queen said this without anger. It was simply a fact. "But that is not why I called you here. I called you here because of what your avoidance is doing to my daughter." His heart clenched. "What do you mean?" The queen leaned forward. Her golden eyes were intense. When someone avoids another person, it means only one thing: rejection. Complete and total rejection. It means you find them so repulsive that you cannot stand to be near them. "What? No," stood up from his chair. "That is not what I meant at all. I was trying to protect her, not reject her." "I know that now," the queen said calmly, "but does not know that. For the past 3 weeks my daughter has believed that you hate her, that you find her disgusting, that everything she thought you felt for her was a lie." Felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. He had been so focused on his own feelings, his own fears, that he had never considered how his actions might look too. "She thinks I hate her?" he asked. His voice was barely a whisper. "Yes," the queen said. "She has been crying herself to sleep every night. She has stopped eating properly. She asked me yesterday if there was something wrong with her, if maybe she was too strange looking, too different for a human to ever want her." His legs gave out. He sat back down hard, his head in his hands. "I am such an idiot," he said. "On that we agree," the queen replied dryly. Looked up at her. "But I still do not understand. Why are you telling me this? Why are you not angry? I am a nobody who dared to fall in love with your daughter. In most cultures, that would be a crime." Queen smiled. It was a strange smile, mixing sadness and amusement together. "Translator," she said, "do you know anything about mating customs?" Shook his head. "Only what I have read in official documents. I know you mate for life. I know marriages are often arranged between noble families for political reasons." "That is true for common folk," the queen said. "But for royalty things are different, very different." She paused and her expression grew serious. "Among the royal family we do not choose our mates choose us." Frowned. "I do not understand." "It is simple. When a princess comes of age, she begins to sense something. A pull, a connection. It happens only once in her life and it is always correct. When she feels this pull towards someone, that someone is her destined mate, her perfect match, the one person in the universe who was made for her." The queen's eyes locked onto us. "My daughter felt that pull 3 months ago. Do you know who she felt it toward?" His heart stopped. He could not breathe. He could not think. He just stared at the queen as the meaning of her words slowly became clear. "Me," he whispered. "You," the queen confirmed. "My daughter's heart chose you, a human translator from a poor family on Earth. The universe has a strange sense of humor." Could not process what he was hearing. It did not make sense. Things like this did not happen to people like him. He was nobody. He was nothing special. He was just a man who was good at languages and bad at talking to women. But I am not worthy of her," he said. "I have no title, no money, no power. I am just a translator." The queen made that laughing sound again. "Worthy? Human, you have no idea what you are. Do you think I have not researched you? Do you think I would let my daughter's heart choose someone without learning everything about them? She stood from her chair and walked toward him. She moved like water, smooth and graceful. When she stopped in front of him, she was close enough that he could smell her perfume. It was similar to smell, but stronger. I know about your scholarship, she said. I know you scored higher on the language aptitude test than any human in history. I know you speak 47 languages fluently and can read another 100. I know you taught yourself from old books when you were 12 years old because you thought the writing looked beautiful. Felt his face getting hot. He had never told anyone about that. I know you send half your salary back to your parents every month, the Queen continued. I know you volunteer at the station orphanage on your days off. I know you once stayed up for 3 days straight to help negotiate a peace treaty because you refused to let two species go to war over a misunderstanding. She knelt down so her face was level with his. This close, she was even more beautiful and more terrifying. She said softly, "You are one of the most remarkable humans I have ever encountered, and I have encountered many humans over my 300 years. You are kind. You are selfless. You are brilliant in ways you do not even understand. My daughter's heart did not make a mistake when it chose you." Did not know what to say. He had never thought of himself as remarkable. He had always thought he was ordinary, average, forgettable. But none of that matters, the Queen said, standing back up, if you are going to keep running away from her. I was not running away because I do not want her, said quickly. I was running away because I do want her, too much. I was afraid. Afraid of what? Took a deep breath. Afraid of rejection. Afraid that I was imagining things. Afraid that someone as wonderful as could never want someone like me. Afraid that if I told her how I felt and she said no, I would lose her completely. At least if I kept my feelings secret, I could still be near her. I could still be her friend. The Queen was quiet for a moment. Then she shook her head slowly. Humans, she said, you are the strangest species. You build ships that can cross the galaxy. You create medicines that cure diseases no other species could even name. You have conquered more of the universe in 10,000 years than the have in 1,000,000, and yet you are terrified of telling someone you love them. Could not argue with that. She was right. Humans had done incredible things. They had spread across the stars and made themselves known to every species they met. But when it came to matters of the heart, they were still as scared as children. I know we are strange, admitted. I know our fears do not make sense, but they are real to us. The fear of rejection is one of the deepest fears a human can feel. We would rather face death than face someone we love and be told we are not wanted. The Queen considered this. Her tail moved thoughtfully behind her. Then let me remove that fear from you, she said. Listen to me carefully. My daughter loves you. She has loved you for a long time, even before she felt the pull. She talks about you constantly. She keeps the gifts you have given her in a special box. She wears the scarf you gave her for her birthday even when it does not match her clothes. Remembered that scarf. It had been cheap, bought from a human merchant on the lower deck. He had been embarrassed to give it to her, thinking she would laugh at such a simple gift. Instead, she had worn it every day for a month. She loves you, the Queen repeated. And her love is not small or uncertain like human love often is. It is total and complete, forever. If you accept her, she will be yours until the stars burn out and the universe grows cold. Felt tears forming in his eyes. He had spent so long convincing himself that could never want him. He had built walls around his heart to protect himself from rejection, and now those walls were crumbling. What should I do? He asked, his voice cracked. The Queen smiled. It was a real smile this time, warm and motherly. You should stop running, she said. You should find my daughter and tell her the truth. You should let her know that you were not rejecting her, that you were just being a foolish human who did not understand. And then you should let her decide what happens next. Nodded slowly. The Queen was right. He had been hiding for too long. It was time to face his fears. But then a thought occurred to him. "Wait," he said, "if Princess loves me and her heart chose me, does that mean we are supposed to get married?" The Queen's smile grew wider. "Eventually, yes. When the heart chooses, marriage follows, but there is no rush. You humans like to take things slowly, I know. You can date first, as you call it. You can learn about each other. The marriage can wait until you are both ready." Felt dizzy. An hour ago, he had been sure he was going to die. Now he was apparently going to marry a princess. "This is a lot to take in," he admitted. "I imagine it is," the Queen said. She walked back to her chair and sat down. "But you do not have much time to process it. I have summoned to join us. She should be here soon." His heart jumped into his throat. "What now? But I am not ready. I do not know what to say." The Queen raised an eyebrow. "You have had 3 weeks to think about what to say. If you do not know by now, another hour will not help." Opened his mouth to argue, but at that moment the door to the cabin opened. And walked in. She was as beautiful as always. Her silver fur caught the golden light of the cabin. Her golden eyes were wide with surprise and confusion. Her tail was stiff behind her, a sign of nervousness. "Mother," she said, "you wanted to see me," and she saw and stopped. Her ears flattened against her head. "What is he doing here?" The hurt in her voice cut like a knife. He could see now what his avoidance had done. She looked at him like he was someone who had betrayed her, someone who had broken her heart. The Queen stood. "I will leave you two alone to talk," she said. "I expect you to be honest with each other, both of you." She walked toward the door, pausing briefly to put a hand on shoulder. "Listen to what he has to say," she told her daughter quietly. "And remember what I told you about humans. They do not always show their feelings the way we do." Then she was gone, and was alone with the woman he loved. Stood near the door, her arms crossed over her chest. Her tail lashed behind her angrily. "Well," she said, "what do you want? I thought you could not stand to be around me. I thought I disgusted you." Took a deep breath. This was it, the moment of truth. He said, "I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen to all of it before you say anything. Can you do that?" His eyes narrowed, but after a moment she nodded. Gathered all his courage. He thought about everything the Queen had told him, about love and chosen mates and hearts that never lie. And then he began to speak. Looked at standing by the door, her arms still crossed and her tail still angry. She was beautiful even when she was upset, maybe especially when she was upset. Her golden eyes seemed to glow brighter, and her silver fur caught every bit of light in the room. He loved her so much it hurt. "I have been avoiding you," he began. "That much is true, but the reason you think I was avoiding you is wrong, completely wrong." Made a sound in her throat. It was not quite a growl, but close. "Then what is the reason? Because from where I stand it looks pretty clear. One day we were working together like always. The next day you disappeared. You stopped answering my messages. You stopped coming to our lunch meetings. You would literally hide when you saw me coming." "I know," said. "I am not going to make excuses for that. What I did was wrong and hurtful, and I am sorry." "Sorry does not explain anything," said. Her voice was tight with pain. "We were partners, friends. At least I thought we were friends. I thought maybe we were even, something more. And then suddenly you could not stand to look at me. Do you have any idea how that felt?" Felt his heart break a little more. "I can imagine." "No, you cannot," shot back. "You cannot imagine what it feels like to wonder if the person you care about has decided you are too different, too alien, too strange. You cannot imagine lying awake at night wondering if you did something wrong, said something wrong, if maybe you showed too much of yourself and scared them away." He stepped toward her. "Stay there," she said, holding up her hand. "You said you wanted to talk, so talk, but do not come closer. I do not think I can handle that right now." Stopped, he took a breath and tried to organize his thoughts. "Your mother told me something tonight," he said. "She told me about culture, about what it means when someone avoids another person. In your culture, it means rejection. It means hatred. His eyes flickered. Yes, that is what it means. But in human culture, it often means the opposite. Frowned what? Ran his hand through his hair. This was hard to explain. Human emotions were complicated, and putting them into words was like trying to describe a color to someone who had never seen it. Humans avoid the people they care about most, he said slowly. It sounds crazy when I say it out loud, but it is true. When we feel something strongly for someone and we are afraid that feeling will not be returned, we run away. We hide. We convince ourselves that if we stay away, the feelings will go away, or that we are protecting the other person somehow, or that we are protecting ourselves from being hurt. His tail had stopped lashing. It was still now, which knew meant she was listening carefully. I was not avoiding you because I hate you. I was avoiding you because I love you. I have loved you for a long time, probably since the first day we met. And 3 weeks ago, after that late-night negotiation, I almost told you. I was so tired that my guard was down and the words almost came out. His eyes widened. That night when you suddenly left. Yes, I panicked. I ran away because I was terrified. I kept thinking about how you are a princess and I am nobody. How your mother is a queen and my mother works in a factory. How you could have anyone in the galaxy and why would you ever choose me? His voice cracked, but he pushed through. Every day since then, I told myself I was doing the right thing by staying away. I told myself my feelings would fade. I told myself it was better to lose you as a friend than to confess and be rejected. I never once thought about how my actions would look to you. I was so caught up in my own fear that I did not realize I was hurting you. He finally looked directly at her. Her golden eyes were shiny with tears. I am so sorry. I never meant to make you feel rejected. I never meant to make you doubt yourself. You are the most amazing person I have ever known, and the thought that I made you feel less than that, it kills me. The room was silent. Stood very still, her ears flat against her head, her tail wrapped around her leg. Could not read her expression. He did not know if she believed him or if she was about to tell him to leave. Finally she spoke. Her voice was small. You love me? Yes. Since we first met. Almost. It took me maybe a week to admit it to myself, but yes, almost since we first met. Let out a breath that sounded like she had been holding it for years. I have something to tell you too. Something I should have told you a long time ago, but I was also afraid. Waited. His heart was pounding so hard he could feel it in his fingertips. My mother probably told you about the pull, said. About how royalty feels when they find their destined mate. She did. Nodded. I felt that pull 3 months ago. It happened during that boring trade conference, the one about shipping routes. You were translating for the delegation and I was watching you work. You were so patient with them. They were rude and difficult, and you just smiled and kept going. And then the lead negotiator made a joke in his own language, something insulting about humans, and you translated it perfectly but somehow made it sound like a compliment. Remembered that day. He had been proud of that translation. I was watching you, continued, and suddenly I felt it. This warmth in my chest, this certainty. Like the universe was telling me that I had found what I was looking for. I knew right then that you were the one, my destined mate, the person I would love forever. Felt like he was floating. This could not be real. Things like this did not happen to people like him. But I did not tell you, said. I was afraid too, not afraid of rejection exactly. Among my people, when the pull chooses, it is always right. I knew on some level that you would feel the same way eventually, but I was afraid of scaring you. Humans do not have the pull. You fall in love differently, more slowly. I did not want to pressure you. I did not want you to feel trapped, so I decided to wait. I decided to let things develop naturally. She laughed, but it was a sad laugh. And then you started avoiding me, and I thought maybe the pull was wrong for the first time in history. I thought maybe humans were too different. I thought maybe you could sense my feelings somehow and they disgusted you." "Never," said firmly. "There is nothing about you that could ever disgust me. You are perfect." "I am not perfect. I am half human and half. I do not fully belong to either world. I have fur and a tail and ears that move on their own. I am strange." Could not help it any more. He crossed the room to her and took her hands in his. She did not pull away. "You are strange," he agreed, "and beautiful, and kind, and funny, and smart. And the fact that you have fur and a tail and moving ears just makes you more interesting. I have spent 2 years watching you and falling more in love with you every day, not despite your differences but because of them." Looked up at him. They were close enough now that he could see the golden flecks in her eyes, the tiny individual hairs on her cheeks. "You really mean that?" she asked. "I really mean that." A tear rolled down her face, leaving a wet trail in her fur, but she was smiling now. A real smile, the kind that made her ears perk up and her tail start to sway. "I have waited so long to hear you say that," she whispered. Reached up and gently wiped the tear from her cheek. Her fur was soft under his fingers. She leaned into his touch, making a sound that was almost like purring. "I am sorry it took me so long," he said. "I am sorry I made you wait. I am sorry I was a coward." "You were not a coward," said. "You were scared. There is a difference. Cowards run away from things that do not matter. You ran away from something that mattered too much. That is not the same thing." Smiled at that. She was always finding ways to make him feel better about his failures. "Your mother said something similar," he admitted. "She said humans conquered the galaxy but are still terrified of confessing our feelings." Laughed, a real laugh this time. "That sounds like my mother. She has very strong opinions about humans." "Good opinions or bad opinions?" "Both. She thinks humans are brilliant and stupid at the same time. She says you are the most confusing species she has ever studied." "She is probably right about that." They stood together, holding hands, looking at each other. The anger had faded from his face. The hurt was still there, but it was being covered over by something else, something warmer. "So what happens now?" asked. Tilted her head. Her ears rotated slightly, a sign that she was thinking. "What do you want to happen?" "I want to be with you. I want to stop hiding. I want to take you to dinner and walk with you through the station without worrying who sees us. I want to hold your hand and tell everyone that you are mine and I am yours." His tail was wagging now like a happy cat. "That sounds nice." "But I am also scared," admitted. "Your mother mentioned marriage. She said among the when the pull chooses, marriage follows. I want to be with you, but the idea of marrying a princess, of becoming part of a royal family, it terrifies me." Squeezed his hands. "We do not have to think about that yet. My mother may be traditional, but she understands that humans do things differently. We can take our time. We can be together first and worry about the formal stuff later." "Your mother will be okay with that." Grinned. "My mother brought you here to fix things between us. If you think she is going to let a little thing like timeline get in the way of her daughter's happiness, you do not know her very well." Felt some of the weight lift from his shoulders. It was not gone completely. There were still so many things to figure out, so many obstacles to face. But for the first time in 3 weeks, he felt hope. "I should apologize to her," he said, "for making such a mess of things. She will appreciate that, but not now. Right now I want you all to myself." Stepped closer to him. They were very close now. He could feel the warmth of her body, smell her sweet scent. She said softly, "Yes. I am going to kiss you now. Is that okay?" His brain stopped working for a moment. When it started again, he could only manage one word. "Yes." Rose up on her toes and pressed her lips to his. It was a gentle kiss, soft and sweet. Her lips were slightly different from a human's, with a texture he could not quite describe. But it was perfect. It was everything he had ever dreamed of and more. When they finally pulled apart, was smiling so wide that her small fangs showed. "I have wanted to do that for a very long time," she said. "Me too," admitted, "except I was too stupid to actually do it." "Well, you will have plenty of chances to make up for that." Took his hand and led him to a small couch by the wall. They sat down together, and she curled up against his side like it was the most natural thing in the world. "I cannot believe this is happening," said. He put his arm around her and she nestled closer. "This morning I was hiding behind a water recycler to avoid you. Now we are. What are we exactly?" "Together," said simply. "That is all that matters, we are together." Kissed the top of her head. Her fur tickled his lips. "Together," he repeated. "I like the sound of that." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Through the cabin's window, they could see the stars stretching out into infinity. Somewhere out there were the 50 systems of the Empire. Somewhere out there was Earth, where parents lived in a small apartment and had no idea their son was now dating a princess. "I am going to have to tell my parents about this," realized. "My mother is going to faint." Giggled. "I would like to meet them someday. Your parents." "You want to meet my parents?" "Of course. If you are going to be my mate, your family is my family. That is how it works." Smiled. "They are going to love you. My mother always wanted a daughter." "I will be the best daughter she could ask for," promised. "I will help her cook and learn all your family recipes and call her every week." His heart swelled. This woman, this amazing, beautiful, wonderful woman, she was his now. She had chosen him, and he was never going to let her go. The door to the cabin opened, and Queen walked in. She took one look at and curled up together on the couch and smiled. "I take it things went well," she said. Lifted her head. "Yes, mother, things went very well." The Queen walked over to them, her movements graceful and quiet. She stood before and looked down at him with those ancient golden eyes. She said, "It seems you are to be part of my family. How do you feel about that?" Swallowed nervously, but he met her gaze and answered honestly. "Terrified," he said, "but also happy, the happiest I have ever been." Queen smiled, and for the first time thought he could see a warmth in her eyes that went beyond the formal politeness of royalty. "Good," she said. "That is exactly how you should feel. Welcome to the family, human." And somehow, that felt like the greatest honor had ever received. The days that followed were the best of his life. He and spent every free moment together. They ate meals in the station cafeteria, holding hands across the table. They walked through the corridors without hiding, without fear. They worked side by side like they used to, but now their professional partnership was backed by something deeper. The news spread quickly through Harmony Station. A human translator was dating the princess. Some people were surprised, some were jealous, a few were disapproving, but most were simply curious. "I heard she chose him," one of the dockworkers said to another as walked past. "Something about royalty and destined mates. Lucky guy." Smiled to himself. Lucky was not the word he would use. Terrified was closer, overwhelmed, unworthy, but also happy, incredibly, impossibly happy. His work colleagues asked questions. His human friends wanted details. Even some of the alien diplomats he worked with made comments. Answered as best he could, always respectful of his privacy but not hiding their relationship. "Yes, we are together. No, I do not know what that means for the future. Yes, she is as wonderful as she seems. No, her mother has not threatened to kill me. Recently." That last part was a joke, mostly. Queen had been surprisingly supportive since that night in her cabin. She did not interfere with their relationship or make demands. She simply watched from a distance, her golden eyes seeing everything. But knew it could not last forever. The Queen was patient, but she was also royal. There were traditions to follow, expectations to meet. Sooner or later, he would have to face the reality of what it meant to be chosen by a princess. That moment came 2 weeks after the confession. Was in his small room, getting ready for dinner with when his tablet chimed. He looked at the message and felt his stomach drop. Another royal summons. The Queen wanted to see him, alone. He arrived at the Queen's cabin feeling like he was walking to his own execution. The guards at the door recognized him now and let him pass without comment. Inside, Queen was seated in her usual chair, but this time she was not alone. 3 others stood behind her. They were old, older than any had ever seen. Their fur was gray and their eyes were dim with age. They wore robes covered in symbols that recognized as ancient writing. "Translator," the Queen said, "thank you for coming." "Your Majesty," bowed deeply, "how may I serve you?" The Queen gestured for him to sit. "These are the Elder Council of the Empire. They advise me on matters of tradition and law. They have come a long way to meet you." His mouth went dry. The Elder Council. He had read about them in his studies. They were the keepers of customs, the guardians of ancient ways. Their word was second only to the Queen's, and sometimes not even that. He turned to them and bowed again. "Honored elders, I am grateful for your presence." One of the elders, a female with white fur and cloudy eyes, spoke. Her voice was thin but strong. "So this is the human who has captured our princess's heart," she said. "He is smaller than I expected." "He is average height for a human," the Queen said mildly. "I meant his presence, Your Majesty, his spiritual weight. Humans are such brief creatures. They live, 80 years? 100 if they are lucky. It seems strange that the pole would choose one of them." Felt his face flush, but he kept his voice calm. "I understand your concern, honored elder. I have asked myself the same question many times. I do not know why the pole chose me. I only know that I love Princess with all my heart, and I will spend whatever time I have making her happy." The elder studied him with those cloudy eyes. "Pretty words, but words are easy. Tell me, human, what do you truly know about our people, about our ways?" Straightened his shoulders. This, at least, he was prepared for. "I know that they are one of the oldest species in the galaxy," he began. "Your civilization predates human agriculture by 2 million years. You developed faster-than-light travel when humans were still living in caves. Your empire spans 50 star systems, but you have never conquered by force. Every world in your domain joined willingly, attracted by your culture and wisdom." The elder's eyes narrowed, but she nodded for him to continue. "I know that family is the center of life. Your clans are everything. Without a clan is considered dead, spiritually if not physically. Marriages are not just unions between individuals but alliances between families. Children are raised by the entire clan, not just their parents." "And what of our traditions regarding royal mates?" another elder asked. This one was male with dark gray fur. "What do you know of those?" Took a breath. This was where things got complicated. "I know that when a royal feels the pull, it is considered sacred. The chosen mate becomes part of the royal family immediately, regardless of their background. They are given the title of consort and are expected to support their partner in all things." "And what are the duties of a consort?" the third elder asked. "To advise their partner, to represent the crown when needed, to produce heirs if biologically possible," paused, "and to submit to the judgment of the Elder Council if they are found unworthy." The elders exchanged glances. The Queen watched silently, her expression unreadable. "You have studied well," the first elder admitted. "But knowledge is not the same as wisdom. Tell me, human, do you truly understand what you are taking on? When you marry our princess, you will no longer be a simple translator. You will be royalty. Your actions will reflect on the entire empire. Your mistakes could cost lives, start wars. Are you prepared for that responsibility?" Was quiet for a moment. He had thought about this many times since that night in the cabin. He had lain awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if he was making a terrible mistake. "Honored elder," he finally said, "I am not going to stand here and tell you I am ready for this. I am not. I am a translator from a poor family on Earth. I have no training in politics or diplomacy. I do not know how to rule anything larger than my own small life." The elders shifted, clearly not impressed by this admission, but continued, "I know how to learn. I know how to work hard. I know how to listen to people who are smarter than me and follow their advice. And I know that I would do anything for anything. If that means spending the rest of my life studying customs and laws, I will do it. If it means making mistakes and learning from them, I will do it. If it means standing here before you and admitting that I am not worthy but promising to become worthy, then that is what I am doing." He looked directly at the elders, meeting their ancient eyes without flinching. "I may not be ready today, but I will be ready when it matters. I swear it on my honor as a human, for whatever that is worth to you." The room was silent. The elders looked at each other, communicating in that silent way that old people sometimes do. The queen waited, her tail still. Finally, the first elder spoke again. "Your Majesty," she said, addressing the queen, "this human has more spine than I expected. He does not grovel or make empty promises. He admits his weaknesses but commits to overcoming them. That is refreshing." "I thought you might find him interesting," the queen said. There was a hint of a smile on her face. "He is still unsuitable by traditional standards," the second elder said. "No noble blood, no political connections, no wealth. If this were a normal courtship, we would never approve." "But this is not a normal courtship," the queen pointed out. "The pull chose him. Are you suggesting the pull was wrong?" The third elder shook his head. "The pull is never wrong, but that does not mean we cannot test the one it chose." Felt a chill run down his spine. "Test." The queen turned to him. When an outsider is chosen by royalty, they must prove themselves worthy. It is an old tradition from a time when the pull was less trusted and foreign mates were viewed with suspicion. "What kind of test?" asked. "That is for the Elder Council to decide," the first elder said. "But I warn you, human, our tests are not easy. Many have failed, some have died." "Swallowed, and if I refuse?" "Then you may still be with," the queen said quietly. "But you will never be recognized as her official consort. Your children will have no claim to the throne. Your relationship will always be seen as lesser, unofficial. You will spend your life in her shadow, never truly her equal." Thought about that. He thought about how much she meant to him. He thought about the future they could have together if he was brave enough to take this step. "And if I pass?" "Then you will be accepted into our clan," the first elder said. "You will be named consort of the crown. You will stand beside Princess as her equal. Your children will be heirs to the empire, and you will have the respect of every in the galaxy." It was not really a choice, knew what he had to do. "I will take the test," he said. The elders nodded, as if they had expected nothing less. "The test will begin tomorrow," the queen said. "You should spend tonight resting and preparing. You may see if you wish, but you cannot tell her about this. The test must be faced alone." Nodded, "I understand." "One more thing." The queen rose from her chair and walked toward him. "Whatever happens tomorrow, know that I did not arrange this to hurt you. The elders requested this meeting. If I had my way, I would have simply welcomed you into the family and been done with it." Looked at her in surprise. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you deserve to know." The queen placed a hand on his shoulder. Her touch was surprisingly warm. "You make my daughter happy. That is worth more to me than any tradition or test. Pass or fail, you will always have my gratitude for that." "Thank you, Your Majesty." "Go now, spend time with and try not to look too worried. She will notice." Left the cabin feeling like he was walking through a dream. He made his way to quarters, his mind spinning with thoughts of tests and elders and the weight of an entire empire. Opened her door with a bright smile that faded quickly when she saw his face. "What is wrong?" "Nothing," he lied. "Just a long day at work." She did not believe him, he could tell, but she did not push. Instead, she took his hand and led him inside. "Then let me make it better," she said. "I made dinner your favorite." Smiled despite everything. "You made kimchi stew." "I tried. It probably tastes terrible, but I wanted to surprise you." They ate together, and the stew was indeed terrible, but did not care. He ate every bite and told her it was delicious. He watched her smile and laugh and talk about her day, and he memorized every detail of her face. Tomorrow, he would face a test that could determine the rest of his life. But tonight he had this, he had her, and that was enough. He said quietly as they sat together after dinner. "Yes, I love you, you know that, right?" She leaned her head against his shoulder. Her tail curled around his waist. "I know," she said, "I love you too." Held her close and looked out the window at the stars. Whatever came tomorrow, he would face it, for her, for them, for the future they deserved. He just hoped he would survive. The test began at dawn. Was led to a large chamber deep within the royal section of the station. He had never seen this room before. It was circular, with high ceilings and walls covered in ancient symbols. In the center was a raised platform made of stone that looked older than human civilization. The Elder Council stood at one end of the room. Queen sat on a simple chair to the side, watching but not participating, and standing near the door, looking worried and confused, was. "You told me I could not tell her," said to the Queen. "I did not tell her. The elders summoned her as a witness. It is tradition." Rushed toward him, her tail lashing with anxiety. "What is happening? No one will explain anything to me." "It is okay," said, taking her hands. "I have to take a test, to prove I am worthy of being your consort." His eyes went wide. "What? Mother, you cannot be serious. The trials have not been held in 200 years. "The Elder Council requested it," the Queen said calmly. "It is their right under our ancient laws." Turned to the elders, her ears flat with anger. "This is not fair. He is human. He does not know our ways. You are setting him up to fail." The first elder raised a hand. "Peace, Princess. The test is not designed to make him fail. It is designed to reveal his true nature. If he is truly worthy of you, he will pass. If he is not," she shrugged, "then it is better to know now than later." Squeezed hands. "It is okay, I agreed to this." "You agreed? Do you even know what the trials involve?" "No, but I know I love you, and I know I will do whatever it takes to be worthy of that love." His eyes filled with tears. "You stupid, brave, wonderful human." "That is me," said with a weak smile. The second elder stepped forward. "Enough, the trial must begin. Princess, please step back. You may watch but not interfere." Reluctantly moved to stand beside her mother, the Queen put an arm around her daughter's shoulders. Walked to the center platform and stood there alone. The elders approached and surrounded him in a triangle. "The trial has 3 parts," the first elder announced. "Body, mind, heart. You must pass all 3 to be judged worthy." Nodded. He had no idea what that meant, but he was committed now. "The first trial is body," the third elder said. He was the largest of the 3, with broad shoulders and scars on his muzzle. "Among them, we value strength. Not just physical strength, but the strength to endure, to survive, to protect those we love." He gestured, and 2 guards entered the room. They were huge, at least a head taller than and twice as wide. They carried staffs made of some dark metal. "You will fight them," the elder said. "Not to win, for that is impossible, but to show you will not give up, to show you can take pain and keep standing." Looked at the guards. They looked back at him with cold eyes. "No weapons?" asked. "Your body is your weapon." Took a deep breath. He was not a fighter. He had taken some self-defense classes as a teenager, but nothing that would help against trained warriors twice his size. But the elder had said it was not about winning. It was about not giving up. "I am ready," said. The guards attacked. The next few minutes were the most painful of his life. The guards did not hold back. Their staff struck him again and again. His arms, his legs, his back, his chest. He fell and got up. He fell again and got up again. Blood dripped from a cut on his forehead. His ribs screamed with every breath. But he did not stay down. Every time he fell, he thought of her smile and her laugh and the way she said his name. He thought about the future they would have together, the life they would build. And he found the strength to stand one more time. Finally, after what felt like hours, the elder raised his hand. The guards stopped. "Enough," he said. "The first trial is complete." Stood there swaying on his feet. His whole body was one massive bruise, but he was still standing. Was crying. The queen held her back, whispering something in her ear. "You may rest for a moment," the first elder said. There was something like respect in her cloudy eyes. "The second trial will begin shortly." Lowered himself carefully to the floor. Everything hurt, but somewhere deep inside he felt a spark of pride. He had not given up. After a few minutes, the second elder stepped forward. She was thin and frail-looking, but her eyes were sharp. "The second trial is mine," she said. "Among thee, we value intelligence, the ability to solve problems, to think clearly under pressure, to find paths where others see only walls." She waved her hand, and a holographic display appeared in front of. It showed a complex pattern of symbols and numbers. "This is a puzzle," she said. "An ancient riddle created by our greatest scholars. It tests logic, pattern recognition, and creative thinking. You have 1 hour to solve it. If you fail, the trial ends." Studied the puzzle. At first glance, it looked impossible. There were hundreds of symbols arranged in seemingly random patterns. Numbers spiraled in directions that did not make sense. It was like looking at the thoughts of an alien mind, which, he supposed, it was. But was a translator. His entire life was about finding patterns in chaos, about making sense of things that seemed incomprehensible. He took a deep breath and got to work. The first step was to identify the basic elements. He looked for patterns that repeated, for symbols that appeared more often than others. Slowly, a structure began to emerge. The symbols were not random. They followed rules, strange and complex rules, but rules nonetheless. 30 minutes passed. Eyes burned from staring at the display. His beaten body screamed for rest, but he kept working. The numbers were a clue, he realized. They corresponded to positions in the pattern. If he arranged them correctly, they formed a sequence, and that sequence revealed the answer. With 10 minutes to spare, entered his solution. The display flashed green. The second elder nodded slowly. "The puzzle has not been solved in 400 years, she said. "You did it in 50 minutes. Let out a breath he did not know he was holding. 2 down, 1 to go. The first elder stepped forward. Her expression was the most serious of all. "The final trial is heart," she said. "Among thee, we value love above all else, but true love is not just feelings. It is sacrifice. It is putting another's needs above your own. It is making the hard choice even when it breaks you." She looked at with those ancient, cloudy eyes. "This trial is simple. I will ask you one question. You must answer honestly. If you lie, we will know and you will fail. If you tell the truth, even if the truth is hard, you will pass." Nodded. After everything he had been through, a single question seemed almost too easy. "Here is the question," the elder said. "If Princess asked you to give up your humanity for her, to become through medical transformation, to leave behind everything that makes you who you are, would you do it?" Froze. It was not the question he had expected. He looked at, she was watching him with wide, fearful eyes. She did not know what he would say. Neither did he. The elder waited, the queen watched, the room was silent. Thought about the question, really thought about it. It would be easy to say yes, to say he would give up anything for. That is what the elders wanted to hear, was it not? But that would be a lie. "No," said quietly. made a small sound of pain. The elders exchanged glances. "Explain," the first elder demanded. Looked at as he spoke. "I love you more than anything in the universe. I would die for you. I would fight for you. I would face any trial, endure any pain, but I would not stop being human for you, because if I did, I would not be the person you fell in love with anymore." He turned to face the elders. "You chose me as mate because of who I am, a human, with human strengths and human weaknesses. My humanity is not something separate from me that can be removed. It is me. If I gave that up, the man standing before you would be dead, replaced by someone else wearing his face." The first elder was silent. "Did not fall in love with a," continued. "She fell in love with a human who was stubborn enough to face his fears, brave enough to admit his weaknesses, and stupid enough to love someone way out of his league. If she wanted a, she would have chosen one. But she chose me, and I think that means something." He took a deep breath. "So no, I would not give up my humanity, not because I do not love her enough, but because I love her too much to become someone she did not choose." The room was absolutely silent. Eve had stopped crying. She was staring at him with an expression he could not read. The first elder looked at the other two. Some silent communication passed between them. Finally, she turned back to, "In 2,000 years of conducting this trial," she said slowly, "no one has ever answered that question the way you did." His heart sank. He had failed. He had spoken the truth, and it had cost him everything. "Every other candidate said yes," the elder continued. "They promised to give up anything and everything for love. They thought that was what we wanted to hear. They were wrong." She stepped closer too. Her cloudy eyes seemed to clear for a moment. "True love does not ask you to destroy yourself. True love accepts you as you are, differences and all. Any fool can promise to sacrifice, but it takes real wisdom to know what should never be sacrificed, even for love." The elder smiled. It transformed her ancient face into something almost beautiful. "Of Earth, you have passed the trial, all 3 parts. By the authority of the Elder Council, I declare you worthy of Princess of the Empire. May your bond be strong, your love be eternal, and your children be many." His legs gave out. He would have collapsed if strong arms had not caught him. Was there holding him up, crying and laughing at the same time. "You stupid, brave, wonderful human," she said again. "That is me," he whispered back. Queen approached them. She looked at with new eyes. "I knew you were remarkable," she said, "but you continue to exceed my expectations. Welcome to the family. I am proud to call you my son." Felt tears running down his face. He did not care. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will do my best to deserve that pride." Helped him stand. He was battered and bruised and exhausted, but he had never felt better in his life. "Come," she said. "Let me take you home. We have a lot to celebrate." Leaned on her as they walked out of the chamber. Behind them, the elders watched with approving eyes. "That human," the first elder said quietly to the queen. "He may be the best thing that ever happened to our empire." Queen smiled. "I know. Why do you think I let you test him? I knew he would pass." "You could not have known that." "I am his mother-in-law now. I know everything." The queen walked out of the chamber, leaving the elders to shake their heads in wonder. In the end, thought as he walked beside through the station, it had all been worth it. Every moment of fear, every doubt, every sleepless night, all of it had led to this. To her, to them, to a future he never could have imagined. And as they stepped out into the starlight, hand in hand, knew that this was just the beginning of their story. The best was yet to come.